Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Siddharth Zarabi and you're watching Rajniti. On today's episode of Rajniti, I'm going to talk about a very interesting announcement by Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who was speaking in Assam's Guwahati uh, and announced something very unique, very interesting, full of potential, and with great possibilities. And this is a electronic census, a e-Census. Before I get into the details, let's take a quick listen into what the Home Minister had to say.
पहली बार इलेक्ट्रॉनिक रूप से जनगणना करने वाले हैं। जब जनगणना का इतिहास सालों तक लिखा जाएगा, इसमें इस जनगणना में जो हमारे कर्मयोगी भाई बहन सम्मिलित है, उनका नाम सुवर्ण अक्षरों से लिखा जाएगा, क्योंकि जो शुरुआत करता है दुनिया उसको हमेशा याद करती है। तो मुझे मालूम है ये कठिन काम है, मगर हम सब ने मिलकर करना है, क्योंकि देश के विकास का आधार ये जनगणना की सफलता है।
You heard the Home Minister there and describing the e-Census. And before we go into the details and what potential it holds, just a reminder that this is an exercise, a national database of all Indians that is conducted every 10 years. That's the mandate, that's been the schedule so far, except due to the interruption that happened due to COVID. The last census should have happened in 2020. We know that COVID disrupted it and it couldn't take place. And that was perhaps the first time that the census has been so delayed on a national basis. There have been certain areas in our country where the timeline of a census has been missed. In fact, Jammu and Kashmir is one of those troubled areas where a census could not be conducted for an extended period of time, but it's never been so delayed since it started first in 1872. And Lord Mayo, the then Viceroy of the British Empire in India, started it, and it's been conducted 15 times as of 2011. Now, this census exercise is a very extensive, paper-driven, manual exercise which has involved thousands and thousands of people, a massive, complete, government bureaucracy which completes this exercise. And as we know, the census generates a tremendous amount of data which is used for policy planning as well as for formulation of policies that can reach targeted groups of people across the country. It is also a way to track the changing socio-economic landscape across India, especially when you look at how much India has been growing, the rapid levels of urbanization, for example, that have led to so many socio-economic consequences, our agricultural economy, and all of those. You get very useful data sets from the census data. Of course, only a few people get to use them really or are interested in it. But now that the Home Minister has announced this e-Census, and from what we understand from his remarks, it's going to have 3-4 key features. The first, it's a 100% electronic exercise. That's the promise at this stage. Now, how will that get enabled? The answer to that question to some extent is available from the Home Minister's remarks, that it is an exercise that will be completely electronic and there will be a special software that will be created for this. And on that, I think India has enough experience of building various kinds of national databases across sectors. So let me give you an example. Most of you are familiar with the driving licenses that states issue. Now, this is a state level database. Each state maintains it, and you have all of that information which is available. You have the voter identity card. Again, that's a massive database. You have Aadhaar, which in some ways is the mother of all national databases when it comes to identifying people and population size. The use of all of these is different. It's very rare for a singular database to be used for multiple applications. Aadhaar, despite all the legal challenges and what has happened, is perhaps right now the single most frequently used document for Know Your Customer. It's voluntary, but I think it's probably become the de facto standard, despite the challenges and questions around privacy and other things that have been said. The mobile phone user database, again spread over various operators, including state owned and private sector operators, is also a huge database. There is, of course, duplication in that because while we estimate a population of 125 crore, this census, this e-Census, should hopefully be the most accurate population enumeration exercise ever since 1872 when the census started in India. Because if it's electronic, and it should therefore have absolutely zero margin of error. The second, as far as the e-Census database is concerned, it will hopefully mean that the enumeration exercise, the process of collecting the data, refining it, cleaning it, and then putting it together in a easy to understand context for policymakers will be wonderful. Now, we know that in the last 3-4 decades, there have been significant changes when it comes to our socio-economic landscape. We have seen rapid urbanization. We have seen the advent of digital, lifestyles. We have seen digital literacy and the lack of it impacting people. And to my understanding, this new software is perhaps also going to have a mobile sort of friendly version where people are able to fill that form or the database on their mobiles, because mobiles are the most used devices, electronic devices in the country, and that allows the mobile phone to go and be used in environments where very high levels of electronic literacy are not required. So we'll have to wait for the design of this system, but before you have any doubts, I want to give you the positive aspect of it. We managed to build and roll out CoWIN for our vaccination program, and you see how beautiful, how easy to use that database is, and the fact that it gives you electronic certificate versus the US where certificates, and you see that on social media, have been hand issued. Similarly, we have many other databases that we have built up successfully, the passports as an example, and therefore this new e-Census has immense potential, possibilities, and will be actually a revolution when it comes to digital India and ensuring that policy benefits reach all Indians. So it's very clear that this database is going to be extremely important because it will be accurate and it will provide our policymakers absolutely last mile perfect data to develop policies, like the Home Minister said, for the next 25 years. So here's wishing this exercise all success. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Rajniti. I'll come back with more. Till then, goodbye.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.